and rehearsing evacuation plan for high-risk regions. These mock drills are aimed at testing both response time and coordination between security agencies, local authorities and the general public in the event of emergency. Now let me read out what the government is saying. The government is saying that, once again, let me read this to you. This is a very important news. India is preparing for a big action. Big action. Preparation are being made for mock drills for the items for effective civil defense on 7th of May. Operationalization of air raid warning sirens, something which was done in 1971. Training of civilians, students on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves. Provision of crash blackout measures. Provision for early camouflaging of vital plants and installations. Updation of evacuation plan and its rehearsal. This is the big breaking news we are getting. This is in direct response to the Pahalgam attack. Let me take you through the details. MHA has asked several states to conduct mock drills for items for effective civil defense on 7th May. Through certain more items. Operationalization of air raids warning sirens. Training of civilians, students on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves. This is a big breaking that is coming. This is a big breaking that is coming. And this tells us that the defense preparedness is being made. And I'm straight away going to Manish Jha, our correspondent from TV9 Network. Manish Jha, please take us through the relevance of this announcement by MHA.
Definitely, this is a really big thing, because we have never seen such kind of directive, even during the Kargil war also. So that's why when the Ministry of Home Affairs has asked to all states, most of the states, to do such kind of preparation, it's a very unique. Normally we see such kind of preparations or directive for a country like Israel, but this time what is happening, that the central government has asked to prepare for the war, and this is exactly happened during the war time, when the civilians are also expected to be prepared, like the civil defense protocols or air raid sirens, like if the enemy country is using missile or in any air strike, there is any possibility of air strike, then definitely you should have active air siren, and either it is a Delhi or Mumbai or any other city. One more important thing is, it means that the government there is an assessment within the government that once this war will start, once any war will start with Pakistan, that will not be limited to the LOC, line of control. It can go beyond that border, and for that matter, the government has asked various states to be prepared, especially all the border states. Either it is a air raid siren or civil defense protocols or evacuation plan, like if something is happening in, suppose, although we all believe that our armed forces will not allow any enemy fighter plane or the missile to come within our area, but still the government wants to be prepared, 100% prepared, and for that the government has asked to do such kind of protocols, so that the civilian will be alert, civilian will be fully prepared if something happens, if some emergency will happen. It means that as the Prime Minister...
Manish, you made a very important point. Manish, you made a very important point. I don't recall that this even happened during Kargil. This did not even happen during Operation Parakram. This did not even happen during Operation Brass Tacks when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. I do not recall that when was the last time it happened after India broke Pakistan into two. I don't think it has happened after 1971.
Absolutely, and such thing is happening. It means that the government of India there is an assessment with the government of India that once India will do any kind of action or will do any strike, then maybe that full-fledged conventional war will start. And for that matter, this war will not limited only with border. This war will be spread, and for that our people also must be prepared, and that's why the government has first time has issued such kind of direction. Let me tell you one thing, that most of the time in last 3 years, I have witnessed such kind of directive in Israel, in Ukraine, or in the border area of Russia. But it was never expected a country like India, when India is preparing to punish Pakistan for the Pahalgam action, then central government has issued such kind of directive. It means that the government of India is going to do something very, very big, which we cannot imagine, as Prime Minister Modi has also mentioned, that and then if something is going to happen, and after that, it may be that that conflict may convert into the conventional war, and that time it may require such kind of preparedness, and for that the government has asked. So this is not only a drill. Basically, this is a alert for the people of India also, that be prepared. Government is going to do something very, very big, which can be converted into the conventional war, and for that matter, you must be prepared. For example, if something is happening, and then suppose if Pakistan will dare to strike with missile or air strike on Delhi or some other big cities, then our air siren must be active. Our air siren must be functional, so that the people can go to shelter. Then people can be alerted, and so the first time, I think that after 71, government has even not did such kind of mock drill also. So this time it is not only a mock drill. This is a very serious preparation, and the government is doing it because the government fully understand that what is going to happen after a few days, once Indian Army will punish Pakistan for the act which Pakistan did on 22nd April. Karthikeyan.
So are we Manish, there are two things here. Are we thinking of a conventional strike? Because these are the things happen when a conventional army meet. When you are talking about air raid signals, basically you are trying to prepare the states. If you are saying that the Madhya Pradesh should prepare, if you are saying Uttar Pradesh should prepare, if you are saying Maharashtra should prepare, it means that we are thinking of deep strikes. And you have covered defense. How do we then, what is the possibility of keeping this war below a threshold level?
The good thing is, like, never underestimate your enemy. So the government of India and Indian Army is fully understand all kind of risk also which is involved this time. See, there is a difference between surgical strike after Uri or the air strike after Pulwama, because this time Pakistan is also prepared. Pakistan is also saying that we will start war against India. So if this time when the Indian government will do some military strike, then it is expected that the Pakistan will also start war against India. We are totally confident that yes, our armed forces are fully capable, so the Pakistan's missile or air strike will not be able to.
You should stay with me, please. Manish, you stay with me. Don't go away. I'm also joined by Aditya Rajal. Aditya Rajal, is this a preparation for a bigger military action? Please, you stay with me, Manish. Is this a preparation for a bigger military action?
Kartikeyan, nothing can be ruled out. It's a big development coming at this hour that the Ministry of Home Affairs has given out a circular to all the states in India to conduct civil defense mock drills. This is a big development. At a time of a war-like situation, such preparedness is seen. India is already preparing threadbare at multiple levels across the country to see that the defense of the country, the defense forces, the paramilitary forces are in control. But now the big statement coming in from the Ministry of Home Affairs that civilians all across the country will be trained, in fact, in mock drills. It is clearly being shown that operationalization of air raid warning sirens will be done. There's also training of civilian students, etc., on civil defense aspects in hostile situations of attacks that would be also conducted. There will be provision of crash blackout measures that would be done, provision for early camouflaging of vital installations is also under planning, and finally updation of the evacuation plan, etc., rehearsal. So
Okay,
this is a complete planning of whether there will be a war situation or not. The planning is to be there.
Aditya, you stay with me.
Aditya,
you stay with me. Major General S.B. Asthana also joins me. Sir, thank you so much for joining me. So what do you make? What do you make of the directive of the Ministry of Home Affairs to the various state governments, preparation for air raid sirens, a preparation made for event of a hostile attack? You know, let me just take you through it, sir, because, you know, I need your comment on this. Operationalization of air raid warning system, training of civilian students on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack, provision of crash blackout measures, provision for early camouflaging of vital plants, installation, updation of evacuation plan and its rehearsal, sir. Your comment, sir.
See, when we are taking or planning to take any action against Pakistan, we have to calculate the entire escalation dynamics. And in that escalation dynamics, war can also be an option or can also be a situation. So therefore, even in earlier wars, to minimize civilian casualties, it is better that the civilians are prepared because not all the aircrafts of Pakistan have night vision devices. So if you are trained in blackouts, that means identification of target becomes difficult. If you are at the same time, when at war, it is also anticipated that Pakistan will activate all its sleeper cells, which is called as fourth generation warfare. Now, if that be so, then civilians should be able to protect, and everybody should be able to protect the installations, their homes as well. If earlier wars, if you recall, I mean, you may not be there because maybe you may be too young, but we recall that there used to be night patrolling by civilians in various areas to ensure that these sleeper cells can't act at a wrong time, at a wrong place. Because every corner of the country cannot be covered by security forces. So these are the drills and mock drills. In case they say something happens, a bomb blast takes place at some certain place, how do you do the evacuation? So evacuation drills have become important. So all these are basically preparing the country and the people of the entire country for a situation which may be unpleasant, but at the same time, better prepared we are, we will minimize our casualties and damages. And I think that's a big statement in a manner that we are very clear that irrespective of what level of escalation Pakistan wants, we will be prepared for every kind of level of escalation to give them a befitting response in every domain, whatever domain they wish to choose.
Sir, is it correct that such measures have been taken for the first time after 1971, sir?
I don't think such measures were taken during Kargil war, but 1971...
I remember, sir, no such measures during Kargil war, sir.
Yeah, but 1971 certainly such measures were taken, and 1971 I must also recall for all your viewers that initially there was a public pressure to go for operations immediately, and General Manik Shah, he resented that pressure. He said no, we should go fully prepared, and then he calculated all other things, whether logistics, availability of trains, weather, because in the marshy weather, the tank columns may not be that effective and all that. So he calculated everything, and then he made sure that, okay, we go in for after 6 months. And when politicians tried to put too much of pressure on him, he said, if you force me to go now, I mean, I am a soldier, but I'll resign because I will not go unprepared. I must guarantee success, and not that I should be looking at an operation where we get embarrassed. So therefore, I think the nation needs to be prepared, and all these are the steps for preparation. And we must certainly take action when we are fully prepared, and we must prepare accordingly for the worst case scenario.
Please stay with me, Manish. Please stay with me, sir. Manish, what are the additional inputs you are getting from Ministry of Home Affairs? Can you take us through? What does it mean? Is this advisory to all states? Does it even include the northeastern states, Manish? Does it include every state like Mizoram and Manipur?
Right now, the MHA has not specifically mentioned that which states will be, which states will have to do this thing, but it is expected that most of the border state is especially has to do such kind of drill, and definitely, when such kind of drill is going to happen, it means that in either Indian Army or the central government is expecting that if anything happen, like as Major Asthana has also mentioned, the thing is like if anything happen, it means that this war may go beyond the border, beyond the LOC, and that's why we need to prepare, and the preparation should be like our air siren must be function. Although our Indian Air Force and air defense is fully capable, and they will not allow a single fighter jet of Pakistan or single Pakistani missile to cross Indian border, but still the government wants to be prepared, 100% prepared, and that's the very thing. As Lord Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, that you can start the war, but you cannot control the war, and you should not underestimate any enemy. And so that's why the government of India is prepared, and government of India is preparing so that if something happen, if some conventional war will start, that time the India can respond very confidently, and that's why the government has asked various states to do such kind of civil protocol. And once this protocol will be done, it means that you are actually sending a message to the world also that India is totally prepared, and this time India is not going to allow Pakistan to escape from such kind of heinous crime. It means that as the Prime Minister has already promised, and then yesterday the Defense Minister has also mentioned that the Prime Minister is going to fulfill the expectation of the people of India. So it's a people of India who wants to do something against Pakistan, which has done a very heinous act on 22nd April, and that's why the MHA has asked several states to be prepared, and once this preparation will be done on 7th of May. So one thing is clear, next 48 hours nothing is going to happen, but after 48 hours nobody can say that when it is going to happen, and as the Prime Minister has said that it is the Indian Army who will decide the time, mode and target against the Pakistan. Karthikeyan.
Very important development has taken place. General Asthana, let us go part by part, sir. Let us go part by part. You explain to us as to what does it mean, why these, why this is important. So the first thing is, when we say operationalization of air raid warning sirens, what does it mean for civilians and people who are watching you on Newsline?
Yeah. Okay.
What should they understand by this?
Okay. See, the air raid warning siren is blown when it is some Pakistani aircraft had sneaked into the Indian territory, and it can release its bomb anywhere. So in that case, what happens is, if you are in the building and the bomb gets released on the building, you will face more casualties, and therefore those drills will be explained as we go along. So then the people have to come out in open. If you are in open, and if you are in a dugout area, let's say, because I remember during that period we used to have small trenches kind of thing also dug, or any dugout area. It can be a drain, it can be anything, or it can be a normal ditch. So if you are in a ditch, you are safest. That is what as far as the air, because any bomb which comes, if it has got an air burst, the splinters move in a manner that if you are in a ditch, then you get saved. You don't get the splinters unless it unfortunately bangs on your head. So in the building, you are not only impacted by the bomb, but also by the debris which flows after the bomb has exploded you. But if you are in the open and if you are in a ditch, you are much safer. So the siren would perhaps indicate that now it is time to leave those areas, or if you have to go underground, like you would have seen in Ukraine, the air siren is blown, everybody gets into the metro station because that is underground. So there you are safe. So like this, we also have metro stations. We also have underground roads and bypasses. So these are the areas. So people in their localities will have to say that this will have to work out as to which are the places where if you go, you will be much safer. So that's how this siren is meant for.
General Asthana, the two things. You know, that sort of a depth operation was not visible, was not there in 1971. What sort of depth are we looking at? Now the fighters have great depths. The missiles have great depth. 71 was a war on border. You know, this time the border would be redefined. The border can be Bhopal, border can be anywhere.
I agree. So therefore what is happening is there are two threats which we have to watch for. The civilians have to watch for. One is the air threat and one is the threat by the sleeper cells. Now, if we, let's say hypothetically, I don't know what the military would be planning, but let's say hypothetically, like Balakot, if we have gone deep into Pakistan, they also have F-16 aircraft which can get deep into India too. So if that be so, then these warnings are important. And these warnings are exactly playing the same role as it. People who would have seen, I mean, almost I think everybody has seen what is happening in Ukraine war. And every time, I mean, even in televisions, when they show a war room, they show a air raid siren. So these air raid sirens are basically give you some kind of reaction time to get under some kind of cover, which is better protected than maybe perhaps a normal building or being in the open. If you are in the open, then you should take some kind of cover or lie down flat. That is also quite safe.
Okay.
Relative.
Okay. Stay with me, sir. I'm also joined by Lieutenant General KGS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps. Sir, thank you so much for making time. You must have gone through the details of the MHA. What we want to know from you is, sir, how do the viewers of News 9 interpret the advisory of the MHA? I'll read them for you, sir. Operationalization of air raid warning sirens, training of civilian students on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack, provision of crash blackout measures, provision for early camouflaging of vital plants installations, updation of evacuation plan and its rehearsals. General Dhillon.
Good evening, Kartha, and good evening to the fellow panelists and the viewers. All these rehearsals, as a child in 1971 war, I was staying in Amritsar and subsequently I was studying in Firozpur. I have myself gone through these air raid warnings and rehearsals, and in actuality when the operations and hostilities were going on. These are a must for the society or for the civilians to understand, as also to protect themselves. There are various measures. I am very sure the people on ground would be teaching the civilians as to which all are the safe places, where all you should hide, go and take a cover, and where you should not go. What are the reflective materials and all those things. So these are the rehearsals which for Indians these are a new thing. But if you go to countries like Israel, there it's everyday thing. Every citizen is trained for it, and every day you are walking in the mall and suddenly you hear an air raid siren. So this is a good thing to educate the civilians and also public. In case of an emergency, they should be able to protect themselves.
Dr. Tara Kartha, former Director, National Security Council Secretariat, also joins me. Thank you so much, madam, for joining me. Your opening comments on a breaking news that has taken everyone by surprise.
I think it's pretty serious stuff. I mean, General Dhillon is right in the sense all of us have seen this before, but this is going to, well, it's going to act quite negatively on the public. I mean, it's going to create a scare. Hopefully, it doesn't get any further. But I think in a large measure, this is linked to the threats which have been coming. I mean, and specifically on the Indus Water Treaty, they said if you stop the water, we will attack. So we are going to stop the water. That's already up, I mean, in the works. So I think this is probably in that backdrop. It's an extremely serious thing. It's not to be taken lightly. So let's see how this works on the ground. I mean, it's very useful, but it will still it'll be quite a shock for those who have not seen this before.
Madam, it's one thing to talk about war on TV, and it's another thing for the war to happen and to affect every aspect of life. There are two different things. Let me get. I'll come to you, sir. General Dhillon, I'll come to you. Let me just go to my colleague Aditya Rajal, who is there with me in the studio. Aditya, we have all grown up watching films of 1965, 1948, 1971, Operation Meghdoot, Operation Parakram, Kargil. We have heard stories of Operation Brass Tacks, numerous untold stories of unnamed brave soldiers who have died fighting for the country. I mean to say, this time, for an advisory to come like this has taken everyone by surprise. I also never expected that this sort of an advisory would be issued today.
You know, Karthikeya, there is nothing to panic, firstly. You know, this is a very good thing that the government of India has done. That to meet any kind of an eventuality, the nation needs to be prepared. The public needs to be prepared that this is something serious. This is not something only being discussed on the social media, etc. But this is something that is serious, practical. India has to be prepared for this kind of a situation, and at the same time, the panic that we are talking about need not be there. There needs to be better coordination. The infrastructure testing needs to take place. Psychological conditioning of the people has to be there, and gap identification on coordination, on flaws or weaknesses has to be there as well. And that's why many of the states, not all, have been told that there needs to be this training of civil defense, air sirens, etc. Because in any kind of a situation where there is an attack or where there is a conflict, the public needs to know what has to be done to take safe shelter, to meet such challenges, etc. So I think it's a very good move. As Taraji said, we do hope and pray that nothing beyond this happens. But if at all, something happens, the public will be prepared, especially in the border areas.
Okay, General Dhillon.
Same point. See, I have studied in Firozpur and Amritsar, and my mother's side village is bang on the border, just about a kilometer away. Everyone in those areas is aware of these drills. Elders have carried out these drills. Yesterday, this was carried out in Firozpur, and my school group, which is from Firozpur, and all the people of my class were still staying in Firozpur, and they are very clear. Okay, this we have done it earlier, our parents have done it earlier, and now we are teaching the younger generation how exactly to do it. And they all are very clear that it is for their own good in case something happens. And as Aditya says, God forbid anything happens, or we pray nothing should happen. But in case anything happens, these drills will save their lives. There's nothing to panic about. People in the border area are very clear. They have seen it, they have done it. And there are elders in every family who would tell them how exactly to go about it. And then, of course, there are civil defense volunteers, there are cantonment board officers and people, and of course, there is army and police who would be, and home guards.
General Dhillon, there are 5 important points. Let's make best of your expertise, sir. Let's make best of the expertise. I've got 3 of you. So I'll go to the point 5. Updation of evacuation plan and its rehearsal. Evacuation plan for what? How do you make these rehearsals? India is a demographically very dense place. How do you do that? Civil defense rehearsals, I have often seen, there are casualties in that. Even fire drills have that. So these are war drills we are talking about. Can you put some light on it, sir?
Yeah, Karthikeya, evacuation plan is the civilians staying in the border areas. In case there is a war or there are signs of war or there are some pre-firing prior to war taking place, 2, 3, 5 days, exchange of fire. In the panic, these civilians from the border areas and whatever the transport measures they have or means they have, they will try and evacuate their families and their livestock rearwards. This will also be the time when the army and the units would be moving towards the forward areas. So there is going to be a choco-block on those small little tracks and sub-tracks in the villages. So evacuation plan is done so that the civilian population's evacuation rearwards is done on the tracks and bridges which are not going to be used by the army. So rearward movement does not interfere the forward movement of the troops. So that is the evacuation plan. In addition to that, there is a casualty evacuation plan, which is in the built-up areas, which is the civil hospitals in conjunction with the SMOs and other people, and all the medical people available in that district. They make a pool of medical officers, and in case of war and their casualties, civilian casualties, how they will be treated and evacuated to the nearest place where they can get the treatment, that's a separate plan. But here we are talking about evacuation plan from the border areas. It is basically not to hinder or disrupt or delay the forward movement of troops so that tracks which are going to be taken by the soldiers are not taken by the rearward movement of evacuees.
General Asthana, then I'll go to Dr. Tara Kartha. Sir, you know, the states, as Aditya says, have not been specified. It is a advisory for civil defense. Is there a separate civil defense component in our security apparatus? And what other forces gets operationalized? Apart from, people have an imagination of armed forces in context of Air Force, Navy and Army. Are there other components which gets operationalized, sir? And what happens, like BSF gets attached to Army during the time of war? What will happen? What is the reconfiguration which takes place in such times, sir?
See, there are various mobilization plans, there are various activation plans, there are civil defense organizations also. There are structured civil defense organizations as well. And also don't forget the amount of training of the young boys and girls which we do in NCC. That also comes handy at this point of time. So basically, and then you have a plethora of the ex-servicemen. That is a very major community which can be called upon as far as the rehearsals as well as training the civilians is concerned. So those civilians have to be trained. Now, one point I think out of all the list which you read out, which has not been is the camouflage of installations. Now, camouflage of installations is important for the simple reason because if certain aircrafts sneak into it, not all the aircrafts of Pakistan have the night vision devices or accurate night vision devices or night engagement of target capability. So if you are well camouflaged, it's difficult to pick a target. And therefore, the essentials, if they are camouflaged, and you should know how to camouflage, which I'm sure the advisories as well as their follow-up actions on these advisories will also be taken. But my main point to the viewers is, firstly, this is education. There is no reason to panic. It may not happen. War may not happen. Nobody knows. But the country has to be prepared for the escalation dynamics. Because if we have to teach a lesson to the adversary, obviously we must expect that he is going to retaliate. So we should be prepared. And if we get prepared, then we minimize our losses or casualties. So it is purely for that. And I don't think there is any reason to panic. In fact, this education is good. And if we see when we are talking of the whole nation getting prepared, I think this is a part of it, and it is being done. A precedence exists in India. Countries who are in war are doing it now. Okay. In Ukraine, it is happening every day. Okay. They also know where to go. So likewise, it's better to know where to go.
Okay. Please stay with me. There are a couple more information being broken by my colleague Manisha. He'll be with us very soon on phone. But till then, Dr. Tara Kartha, does it mean that India is about to take a big action and we anticipate some sort of a deeper retaliation, as the General was saying, in terms of escalation ladder? Should I see that in this context, madam?
Not necessarily. See, what they are saying is absolutely right. These are actually measures which most countries do almost annually. You know, you have civil defense exercises, you have prep, and remember, this whole machinery also comes into play in times of, say, you know, environmental, the national disaster management. You need that whole thing to come together. But does it mean that it certainly means that there is very heightened tension? The government is very mature reaction in taking all precautions, making sure that the people know what this whole exercise is about, which I think is highly required. Whether we are going to launch something or not, well, I don't think it wouldn't be responsible for me to say something on that. I am actually wondering if the Pakistan is ready to launch something. I mean, that would be my
What is your assessment, madam? Do you think with this that we assess that the Pakistan will go for a strike? Okay, let me reverse the question, madam, for you.
See, by this week, I think this week and the next week onwards, the waters going down from Baglia is stopped. Is virtually not stopped. Well, it's very, very, very much lower than it should be. So that's going to create a lot of problems for Pakistani farmers, particularly as they have problems to begin with. I think 2 days ago, that strike is still going on between Sindh and Punjab. You know, that whole plan of having canals, the whole trucks to Karachi, there are lakhs of them disrupted on the road already due to water distribution. So if Pakistan then actually finds, I mean, yeah, I'm assuming we are going to do that exactly because the desilting has taken place now. You're filling up the dam. When you're filling up the dam, downstream water is going to go down. That's the factual situation.
Okay. In fact, my original program was on the water war, what India has done. We had got ground reports from Akhnur, Bagliar. Maybe little later in the evening, I'm going to show you all that. Manish Jha joins me. Manish, you have broken some news. Break it down for us. What does this release mean to us? Just decode the MHA news that we have broken by sources. Manish, what does it mean?
Definitely. The first of all, what I understand, and you can say that, when we decode the direction of MHA, it means that first of all, the India is likely to take a major kinetic action. The second thing, in response to India's action, Pakistan might initiate a war. The third thing, if such a war happens, it may not remain confined to the border areas. The fourth thing is the Pakistan could attempt to attack major Indian cities like Delhi, Mumbai, or other cities. Although the fifth thing is, although the Indian Air Force and air defense systems are capable of preventing Pakistani missile or fighter jets from entering Indian airspace, India wants to stay fully prepared. And the last thing, that the protocols, such kind of protocols related to civil defense, we have seen such protocols in Israel or Ukraine, including working air raid sirens, are being considered or implemented to ensure readiness. So the thing is that now the government of India is going to take a first major kinetic action, and in response of that, government has apprehension that the Pakistan may initiate a conventional war. That time, our peoples also must be prepared. So in that background, the government of India has issued such direction.
Aditya, Dr. Kartha had made a very interesting point. She was telling us that the water issue, the lack of water in Chenab has already destabilized parts of Pakistan. Your comments, Aditya, on that?
Well, certainly, what many are not discussing is that the national narrative in Pakistan right now, especially around Pakistan Army and the security forces, is that Pakistan should conduct preemptive strikes against India.
Really?
Yes, that Pakistan should conduct preemptive strikes against India even before India does that kinetic military operation. But before I come into this critical question, Karthike, top sources just called me while I'm sitting with you in the studio and said that while the NSAB, the National Security Advisory Board, was restructured, there could be some more changes in the pipeline. That means that some of the tenure of many of the DGs of various agencies, etc., is ending between May and June. So we could see changes happening at the very top level. This I'm saying because there was a lot of anger also that while this Pahalgam attack has happened, but there are no heads that have rolled. So could we see some massive changes in the next few days? Perhaps yes, that's what my sources claim right now. We'll have to wait for a few more days to know more. But certainly in Baglehar and in another area, that is in Jammu and Kashmir, we have had the water being stopped. This is a major development, and you heard what Bilawal Bhutto said in Mirpur Khas in Sindh, that या तो इसमें पानी बहेगा या तो हिंदुस्तानियों का खून बहेगा. At the same time, there are other threats that have come in from the ruling PMLN government and other political and army players in Pakistan. So I don't think that as of now immediately we would head towards any kind of a major confrontation. I also don't see that India would do anything hastily, but certainly I think India also wants to keep Pakistan guessing as to what India's next action would be. And as I have been saying since the last 13 days, that revenge is best served cold. I don't think anything should be expected overnight. I think it's a slow process. It's a slow response that is well calibrated, well calculated by the national security apparatus, and would be done at a time and place of our own choosing. We are seeing a step-by-step manner
a whole of government approach where the Ministry of External Affairs, the MHA, the INB Ministry, the Water Resources Ministry has come into the picture. Every single day we are seeing some kind of a small response towards Pakistan, be it diplomatic in nature or otherwise, and at the right time we will see a kinetic operation also. But to this development of civil defense training, to this development of water being stopped, we still haven't had any kind of a strong response from Pakistan. So we've only had last night at midnight an all-party meeting that was addressed by the DG ISPR, and a firm detail of what Pakistan Army plans to do was given to them. We haven't heard much post that as to what Pakistan's response would be. Perhaps in the next couple of hours we could expect a response.
General Dhillon, your comments on what Aditya has to say, and I'll come to you, General Asthana. I'll come to you.
See, what Aditya is saying is very relevant. So I'll make 2-3 comments. One is, there is no need to panic. These are routine drills. This could well have happened 2 months ago, just to check the serviceability and the efficacy of the civil defense apparatus. So there's no need to panic. I have grown up in the border areas. My family, my friends are still there. And yesterday when it happened in Firozpur, at the cost of reputation, I'm telling you, everyone was very clear why it is being done and why they must do it nicely. That is one. Secondly is, like Aditya says, the revenge is best served cold. It is more time. See, we took 10 days in Uri, we took 12 days in after Pulwama, and now we already are into more than 12 days. So when this type of response, where the comprehensive national response, for the Aditya named few ministries, diplomatic efforts, economic efforts, political efforts, as also the military efforts. When all these efforts have to be combined together to apply on the enemy your comprehensive national power, it takes time to coordinate, it takes time to organize the whole thing. And this also is best because the enemy will keep guessing as to what's happening. So there's nothing to worry about. And about the water, I think few points have been made. Baglihar and the Salal Dam on the Chenab River are moderating the water. And best thing about the Indus Water Treaty is now we have stopped sharing data with Pakistan. And we have stopped releasing the water.
General Dhillon, you are talking about water. I'm joined by Balraj Joshi, former CMD in NHPC. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. Let me just introduce you. The breaking news had come in. I had invited you for how the Chenab water had been stopped. But the breaking news overtakes everything. But my question to you is, how long can we stop this water in the river? What is the capacity of our system? We have been told through our sources that 50 engineers were involved in this operation. The way desilting took place and the way, the water came down to a trickle. Can you just take us through how was this achieved and how long can we do this, keeping in mind the volume that flows through these rivers?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. Let me start by saying what do we mean by a drawdown flushing. Drawdown flushing is when you lower down your reservoir to a river level, almost a nascent river level, where you have large openings in the dam. And you don't have all these openings in all the dams. For example, Salar doesn't have them, but Baglihar has. And Pakistan has been constantly telling us, not to use the drawdown flushing because they always apprehend that we'll be using the entire reservoir for flooding them. Of course, that's only an imaginary scare in their mind, because otherwise we can't flood Pakistan without flooding our own areas. So to that extent, during the clearance of the projects, Pakistan has been very, very cautious not to allow us any large storages. Salar Dam has already got silted up. Its entire reservoir, which was about 24 MCM, now it's reduced to 6 MCM only. But Baglihar, fortunately, we have a larger capacity, wherein we have 300 MCM has been reduced after sedimentation to 150 MCM. Now, if I talk about MCM terms, then probably if we empty all the reservoirs as it is today just now, and considering the discharge which is flowing in the Chenab River, we may be able to stop the water for about 6 to 7 days. Now, since the treaty has been suspended now, and as rightly pointed out by General Dhillon also, that we are not sharing any data with Pakistan anymore. And one of the other postulates of treaty says that if you want to do some kind of flushing or some other maintenance operations, then we are obliged to release as much water as we store in a week in the week following. So that was one of the postulates of treaty. So that now need not be followed. So theoretically speaking, we can open up all the sluices, all the spillway gates of all the dams in the entire cascade, and then again we can stop it suddenly. And after having stopped it suddenly, as I said, that we probably be able to stop the water for about 6 to 7 days maximum.
So, very important thing you have said. Sir, very important thing you have said that we have the capacity to stop the water to 6 to 7 days. So, if we stop the water for 6 to 7 days,
given the current discharges, and as the monsoon trickles and the monsoon comes in and the snow melt starts coming in, maybe not even more than 2 to 3 days.
no, okay, 6 to 7 days, then 2 to 3 days. Anyway, it's a strong action. What impact will it have on Pakistan in terms of downstream?
Immediately none, because this is not a sowing season, but certainly in the winter season, if we do that, we can create problem for them in the sowing season, because water will not be available. And you know that in the winters, the water will reduce to a trickle. And if you empty all your dams and then start filling them again, it will take around a month's time, which is basically a sowing time, and crops are very sensitive to water requirement at a given time. So that can really create problems for them in the winters. So this could be a very warning exercise that this can also be done. I mean, if you say that some kind of hints are being thrown, this can be done. But right away, immediately saying that we are creating some damage to Pakistan in this season, probably not.
In this season, but this is a strong message that this will be done in a different season.
This can be done, yes.
Dr. Kartha, coming to you.
The Kharif sowing season starts now. It's already started. It started in April.
Right now, monsoon is around the corner, so you will have a rainfall. But in the Rabi season, you will not get that water when you sow that.
That's true. But their problem also, in addition, is they have heavy silting of most of their canal systems that very badly maintained. They have very little water storage capacity. I think they've got how many? Very few dams compared to our number of dams which we have. So even if you reduce the water by a very small degree, and which I understand, because why I'm saying is the last time when we were filling up Bagliar, when it was coming up, that was in 2018, they had a very bad time. So that was when the dam was being filled up. Now, I don't know what is going on now, but right now the time is very sensitive. The Pak army has put its reputation on the line, saying that Indus Water Treaty, if you break it, we will go to war. So that kind of talk is dangerous. That's all I'm saying.
General Asthana, the third point, provision of crash blackout measures. Please break it for us. Provision. General Asthana, this question is for General Asthana. Provision of crash blackout measures. What does it mean?
Yeah, blackout measures are necessary because, as I said, all aircrafts of Pakistan do not have the night capability to engage at night. So if you impose a blackout, then they may not be able to get areas or suitable targets where they feel that they can damage everyone. So there were blackout measures. Even in 71, what we were doing was, even if you have light, all the windows and all, they were pasted with some black paper or something like that. So there were blackout measures so that no light moves outside, and street lights were put off. And basically it is to avoid giving them targets. But I want to make a bigger point here in context of whatever has been discussed. You see, today what we are looking at during the earlier responses, whether it is surgical strike or Balakot, we used only one instrument of power. Today we are looking at involving all the instruments of power and all elements of the national power and the comprehensive national power to bear on to Pakistan to give the message which we are wanting to give. Also, as Chanakya Niti says, if you can win the war without fighting, that is the best form of winning. And apparently now what is happening is that as far as this water is concerned, without getting into technicalities, the news of this water treaty being held in abeyance crashed the market of Pakistan, number one. Number two, any new investments in the agriculture sector, people will think twice. Thirdly, my suggestion to the government is announce some projects, and if we feel that it will take very long to make projects, also open up tenders, or shall I say options for the public-private partnerships for linking projects or river linking projects, or linking those rivers to our projects. At least announce them. that will send a scare, a fair amount of scare, and let them do mistake, because they have done few mistakes. The moment we announced this, strategically, it was a big mistake to say, okay, we hereby put Simla agreement in abeyance. Now, that was a mistake which suits us. So, like this, they are going to make mistakes. Similarly, you see, if we have $670 plus billion as our reserves, and they have only $9 to $10 billion reserve, the mobilization and the exercises, they can spoil their about $5 to $10. If we lose $5 to $10, nothing will happen in India. If they lose $10 billion, there will be no food on to the people. And our center of gravity should be that the terror mastermind are Pakistan military. People should stop having faith in Pakistan military, and people should feel that Pakistan military is the instrument which is trying to create all the problems for them, and their terror actions are actually having country to ransom or putting country to ransom. Now, that is the biggest strategic message. For that, the economic war, the diplomatic war, the war in relation to the water war, and all other instruments, some have been used, some more can be used as we go along. I will also like to advise, put another suggestion to the government. Please target every single financial and business entity of Pakistan military. Everybody doing business with any of these establishments, he should be sanctioned by India. Now, these are some measures which can be given straight away. We all know Pakistan military is surviving on the income of those establishments. So, target should be very clear. The aim is Pakistan military and nothing else.
Okay.
Back to you.
Sir, General Dhillon, the second part of the MHA release says training of civilians, students, etc., on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack. This reminds me, Aditya, the films we used to watch,
Yes.
American films, dated in 50s, where they would train themselves, the school children, for a possible Soviet attack, that sort of a thing. Keeping that in mind, and I ask this question to in earnestness, not to belittle the larger thing. I mean to say, when we talk about the larger civil defense mobilization, how do you do that? Which agencies come into operation? What is the level? What's the time scale that is involved, sir?
Kartha, what to talk of American films or Russian films, I as a child studying in Firozpur have done it in my school in 70s and in Amritsar. So these are the things which are curriculum of the NCC. Now, by now the instructions would have gone to all the NCC battalions and the headquarters to teach the students in schools about these drills. And then the civil defense organization, wherever they are existing or wherever they have to be mustered up, and their drills have to be oiled up, and their communication and their reporting system, that would be now getting into place. In addition to that, there are other measures where you can train. There are playgrounds, there are schools where people can go and educate them, like we go for the lectures for motivation and leadership. Now somebody will call me for giving a lecture on the civil defense and how to protect yourself against the air raid. So all the local experts in that area, their services and their expertise can be harnessed by schools, ideally school, because every child, when he gets educated in school, when he goes home, he is going to teach these things to 8 more people in his family, and everyone is going to be better equipped to face any contingency if at all it happens. So these practices are a routine in the border areas, and I'm very sure wherever there are certain issues where it has not been done regularly, I'm sure now the machinery must be getting into action.
A relevant point. These are the things which are regular in border area, but I don't think these are the things which are regular in, to say, the deeper states. Aditya.
Absolutely. Even in border areas, I don't see much of these preparations underway, apart from some areas in Jammu and Kashmir, maybe in Punjab as well, where there are underground facilities. There are bunkers which have been built by the administration for the civilians, because you would remember that before 2021 there was major confrontation that used to happen between the Indian Army whenever Pakistan Army used to violate the ceasefire, and most of it was at the line of control sometimes also at the international border, where civilians used to be victims of the Pakistan army firing, and that's why we had a lot of casualties of civilians also. I remember personally covering around Naushera, Rajouri, Meander and other sectors where civilians unfortunately lose their lives, lose their homes, their houses, infrastructure, etc. And that's why adjoining to their homes in many areas, these bunkers have been kept, just like in Israel, where every few kilometers near bus stops, etc., there are shelters built underground.
I don't think I have gone to Israel more than you, but I had the opportunity to go to Israel from Golan Heights to other places.
Yes.
I have seen there's a difference. There, anyone above 14 and 15 is mentally prepared. I was on Golan Heights with my wife, and I recall I saw people. I don't think they were more than 16 and 17, and they were there, well prepped with their weapons, and they were on some sort of a integrated mission with their army regulars. And we had got down to board a different bus to go to a different part of the Golan Height. And I got myself clicked. It's there on the because I never thought I'll see such a young boys and girls with such heavy weapon. That's a different country altogether.
The usual SOP for anybody in Israel is to run to that safe shelter. On 7th of October, when that horrific terror attack happened from sea, from air, from ground, the first thing that people did was to find the closest shelter and actually take escape route through that, to be there until there was clarity or somebody from the IDF or the local police came to rescue them. So that is the instinct. But we will have to, of course, spread a lot of awareness in border areas, in particular states like Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, even Haryana and Delhi and UP, where people have to be trained, people have to be psychologically trained that do not panic. You need to know that if certain things happens, this is how you react to it, not cause panic, not in fact disturb the larger population, but to in fact support the security, the government, and also be there for your fellow citizens.
Okay, Dr. Kartha, I'll ask you a broader question, madam. I read Jaishankar's quote. He spoke about American realism, he spoke about Russian realism. Is this Indian realism?
I'll tell you a bit of realism in response to what General Asthana said. One, he was talking of targeting Pakistan business, which I completely agree with him. One company called Green Pakistan Initiative. It's a Pakistan Army front, and it has just leased out some 400,000 acres of land for farming, corporate farming. This has been going on for some time. It was opposed. People didn't want it. But if you put the water out, it's going to hit that huge 400,000 acres. Think about it. Including canals. They're planning to build one of the largest ever known project of 6 canals across Pakistan. And then if you go and shut off, if at all the water is affected, that's going to hit them pretty hard. In terms of what you're asking me, I think it's enough is enough. People have been talking of Pakistan does terrorism. It does terrorism, period. Well, enough. That is not a normal behavior of states, and it's high time we said that we are not going to take this anymore. And I think it's a high time a bunch of countries stood with us, and they will stand with you only if you are prepared to stand on your own feet. That is the final law. You have to be prepared to fight your own battles, and I think that's what this government is doing.
Another question to you, madam. In 1961, 63, 65, there was no Chinese interference. I'll come to you, General Dhillon. I'll come to you, sir. Thank you for raising your hand. There was no Chinese interference. There was Soviet submarines in the Bay of Bengal, and if I'm not wrong, the 6th Fleet of the United States Army. The larger in the geopolitical conflict, how do you place China, madam? And then I'll come to you, Manish.
Well, if there is a war, China is going to pay for it. Who's going to pay for Pakistan? IMF is a bank. It's not going to give you money to fight a war. So who's going to give Pakistan money to fight a war? It has to be China, and China is not really very happy about, as you can see, in recent times, when they've gone begging, let's not use the word begging, they're a state. They've gone to China for loans, they haven't got them. They've asked for delayed interest, that hasn't happened. So let Beijing think about this. And there is all its CPEC infrastructure all over the place. All of that is going to take a hit if there is a serious war. It's going to take a very bad hit to see. So let them decide.
General Dhillon, you wanted to come in, and then I'll go to Manish.
Yeah, I wanted to amplify the point which ma'am raised about the Green Pakistan initiative for the benefit of the viewers. From Punjab, Pakistani Punjab, when you come down and when Sindh province starts, at the base of Pakistani Punjab, there is a desert called Cholistan Desert. And from the Indus River, which basically Sindh province is named after the Indus River, which is the Sindh River. And from the Indus River, the Green Pakistan initiative is Asim Munir's pet, baby. And he wants to divert water from Indus into Cholistan Desert so that the Cholistan Desert becomes green at the cost of livelihood of Sindhis. Now, Sindhis are up in arms against this project, and that's what ma'am was referring to. Lakhs of trucks are stranded on their N5 and 6. That are the highways they have. So the Cholistan Desert is becoming a bone of contention. And another point I want to highlight here is, as per the Indus Water Treaty, the lower three rivers are with India, which run through our Punjab and then Pakistani Punjab before partition. Upper three rivers are with Pakistan. And from the Chenab River, which is the lowest of the upper three. And the viewers must understand the grain of the country in this part of the world runs from northeast to southwest. That means that the slope of the ground is from Ladakh going towards Sindh. So all the six rivers are flowing in northeast to southwest direction. When the lower three rivers are cut off as per the Indus Water Treaty, so lower portion of Pakistani Punjab is not getting natural river water. So what they done is, from Marala headworks on Chenab, they made a Marala-Ravi link canal. That means from Marala, the Chenab water is brought to Ravi. And from place called Bambanwala, they made a Bambanwala-Ravi siphon Bediya link canal. That means again from Chenab, they brought in water from north, put it through the below the Ravi river, through a Ravi siphon, and taken it south or west of Lahore. So south or east of Lahore to feed Pakistani Punjab, the lower belly. Now, if the Chenab River also dries down, this Marala-Ravi link canal and the Bambanwala-Ravi Bediya link canal will also dry out. And then there is another canal which is feeding the Kasur area from Chenab. So, if the water in Chenab is controlled by us and not allowed to go as it was going, Pakistani Punjab is going to face the maximum pinch. And on top of that, the Sindh River water also they are trying to divert towards Cholistan, and there is going to be a biggest unrest, a public uprising against Pakistani Punjabi Musliman within the Pakistan. So all these things, water as a weapon may not have explosive, but water as a weapon can hit where it hurts the most.
Okay. Manish, any more thing you are getting from the government sources?
As a journalist who has covered various conflicts around the world for last few years, I can tell you one thing very certainly, that this is not a routine directive which was issued by MHA, because it mentioned a specific date and it has directed to several states to implement it. The second thing is, what does it all means? That the government of India is treating the possibility of an external attack seriously. So it's a very serious, it's a very unusual thing, the directions which is issued by MHA. And the second thing is that these drills aim to prepare both official agency as well as civilians for a worst case scenario, such as a missile strike or air raid or terrorist attack on critical sites. And while no attack may happen immediately, the preparedness level is being raised across multiple states. So my point is, now the time has come. The time has come when India is prepared to respond, and then when the government is going to take a big, serious kinetic action, and the government is expecting something from Pakistani side also, and that's why the government has said several states to do such mock drill. So it's not an event, it's not an event like we used to see that some schools are doing something, some district collector or some officials are doing some mock drill and it's a photo shoot event. No, it's not a photo shoot event. The country is going to face a very serious thing, and that's why the government wants to people to be prepared, to be ready, because once we will start our action, nobody knows that what kind of reactions we will going to face. So that's why we need to be prepared, and that's a very good thing when you don't underestimate, your enemy, because that is exactly the US and other 30 countries did with Russia, that they have underestimated Russia, and that's why we have seen what happened during the last 3 years.
Absolutely. The whole, I see, Russia is a nuclear power, but then they're engaged in a conventional war. But that's a debate for another day. Mr. Joshi, you wanted to come in. Yeah, I know. I saw you, sir. Please come in.
Yes. I just wanted to supplement Dr. General Dhillon, who told about the Manala work and the canals taking up from there.
Will you take another question from me, sir? My question with, you can add it with what General Dhillon said. What is the storage capacity of the dams in Pakistan?
Karthike, may I request something? Let's not discuss the actual capacities of India.
Yes, let's not.
No, I said Pakistan.
We should only discuss the concepts.
Even Pakistan also.
General Dhillon,
just
I said
supplementing
Pakistan, I did
General
not say
Dhillon.
India.
Okay.
Well, I don't have the figure, I can't tell you that. But supplementing General Dhillon, we have a project called Bursar project, which is on a tributary to Chenab, and which is well within the treaty. And this was a national project for which the DPR was prepared by NHPC long ago. The only reason why it couldn't be taken off, because we wanted 20,000 crores of grant from the government of India. I think that particular project must be expedited, so which will reduce our holding capacity of Chenab water anyway, legitimately also. And secondly, coming down to the fact that whether this river linking can be done, of course, there are possibilities that some of the western rivers could be diverted to the eastern rivers also by suitable tunnels and channels, and where we already have the larger capacities existing. So that can be thought of as a long-term measure to stop the water to Pakistan.
A lot of reshuffle has taken place in Pahalgam. This is another breaking news we are getting. You stay with me, all of you. Why has that happened in Pahalgam?
Well, in your first question, I told you that there will be a reshuffle.
You told me in the show.
And this is not reshuffle at the lower level only, the SHOs, the SSPs, but there will be reshuffle at the top level as well. There is a mindset within the security, administration and the top national security apparatus that it's not about heads rolling, it's not about narrative, but actually you need to mean business. And that's why if there are changes, it's not always that you continue to get extensions, etc. But young officers or younger officers or officers who can mean business will be brought in.
Madam, Dr. Kartha, if you, I would really request you to elaborate on this when we say we need to mean business.
Yeah.
See, I just want to add, the NSAB restructuring goes on from time to time. I mean, the first few are announced and then another 4 or 5 are announced. For some time, the NSAB was sidelined. Now it's come back into the fore, which is a good thing, because NSAB is not strictly a government body, it's an advisory.
Not understand the role of the National Security Advisory Board. Just tell us what is the role of National Security Advisory Board? Why did it come into existence? जो देख रहे हैं उनको कम से कम पता तो लगे ये संस्था करती क्या है, क्यों बनी, कब बनी, किसने बनाई?
See, the idea was to get non-government inputs from all sides of the political, technical, everywhere. And that worked very well because you had even the opposition parties, everybody on board, and you came to a consensus. And I can tell you, I mean, I've seen how this works. Some of the documents, some of the advisories, they were spot on. So in this time, you've got Alok Joshi, who's an extremely experienced person who's come into this fold. There'll be other people. So this is a longer term policy making. It is not a crisis management body. It is only for, to say how to guide things. But on the other hand, what you have had is the PM. I mean, this is really maturity. They are looking at the economic aspects. They were economic advisory board. They've got the army. They've got the navy. They're talking to everybody to understand where this is going. And within that comes this advisory. So I think it's part of that series of actions that they're taking.
Are you saying that this is going to, madam, the big picture is going to be a long and protracted affair, not one-off thing? We are not looking. It's wrong to look at from the perspective of Uri and Balakot, if I may say so.
I wouldn't like to comment on that. That would be irresponsible on my part. Sorry.
Okay, without getting into the operations, Aditya, if I may say so, we should not look at from the perspective of Uri and Balakot. Are we looking at something broader, more proactive, deeper, larger, something with which the Pakistan has to live every day? The word which you use in the newsroom. We'll make them sweat out every day.
There are two aspects here. One, obviously terror attacks cannot be compared. But what I will tell you is that in Uri, around 20 army officers were killed, that too while they were asleep.
Yes.
Their tents were completely burnt and gutted. So the entire country's conscience was shaken at what had happened. So there was surgical strike. One of the, we have done minor incursions in the past, but surgical strike that was admitted.
We broke the
in front of
strategic restraint.
Yes.
We broke the strategic
Yes.
restraint. That was very historic.
Then in Pulwama, more than 40 CRPF persons were killed, and it was a suicide bombing unheard of.
Absolutely.
Once it was happened in the past, but this was unheard of.
Absolutely.
So Balakot happened. This time around, civilians, but not the army or the paramilitary.
On the basis
were
of religion.
targeted. In my, understanding, it's even bigger than what happened in Pulwama or what happened in Uri. I'm not saying that our forces are cannon fodder. No, don't mistake me for that. I value the death of every soldier, sacrifice of every soldier. But to kill civilians who had come there as tourists, trusting the locals, trusting everybody else, and then at the same time asking for their religion and selectively targeting what happened in 1990 with Hindus in Kashmir, again happening. I think it's an attack on India's sovereignty, Indian people, Indian government, Indian parliament, and appropriate response will certainly follow.
There are so many questions. I wish I could have extended this but I have to hand the baton. Very quick comment, General Dhillon. If you, without getting into the operations, generally when we speak of this mobilization, there is a movement of the strike corps. There's a cold start doctrine. There are a lot of things which you cannot speak about. But I would really like to know, in a broader perspective, where do you place this? And then I'll close my show. Because I could have asked you on the cold start doctrine, I could have asked you on the movement of strike corps, what do they mean, how do you put them in larger perspective, but I limit myself to this issue only, place it in the larger perspective, the advisory of the MHA, then I'll close my show.
The advisory of MHA is a defensive measure to protect the life and property of the civilians. It is not an advisory for the defense units. Defense units have their own, drills and SOPs when they are in defense to camouflage themselves. What General Asthana was saying, as also to spread and take a minimum casualties in a single hit.
Yes.
And when they are on the offensive other side of the border inside the enemy's territory, they have separate drills of fanning out and not getting together at one place, and then also have air defense and other measures in place. Not going into the operational details. This is an advisory for a civil defense, as the word suggests. And here I would like to just give out one thing for normal public not to panic. No one is going to target. Pakistan does not have that type of wherewithal and that type of ammunition and that type of money to target each civilian's house. It is going to be a collateral damage which may happen. They will try and target a particular military installation or a civil installation. As General Asthana was saying, if they're well camouflaged and there's a blackout, they might miss that target, and unfortunately the target may, the bomb or any projectile may hit a civilian area. So from that point of view, these drills are must, so that even if a collateral damage, the civilians should minimize or have zero casualties. So these drills are not for the military people. Military people have their own SOPs.
My takeaway is that it depends on the political executive to define the nature of hostility, but I think the nation needs to be prepared. I think the nation needs to be prepared, and they should know the adversary we are facing.
Yes.
Because the adversary has not changed its behavior. It has not changed its behavior in last so many years. I really thank you, all of you, for joining my show. I have really run out of time. But I would say that this is an advisory which needs to be taken seriously. No one should panic. There is no point in panicking, because this is for self-awareness, this is for preparation. As a responsible citizen, we should heed to the directives of the Government of India. And on this note, I close my bulletin. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time at 7 p.m. Good night.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it.
I need expert performance. I need my career.
Light, camera, and action. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite snack because News 9 is here with your weekend dose of entertainment. It's time to take a deeper dive into the buzzworthy happenings of the entertainment world. From celebrity gossips to exclusive conversations, from nostalgic moments to News 9's pick of the week, don't worry, we've got you covered here. And I hope you've grabbed your popcorn by now because News 9's page 3 is here to serve you everything that we call entertainment. So do stay tuned every Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 p.m.
Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers, the Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brand Walas.